Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to a extra special edition of Social Confoes, the social media conference Suriname edition. As you've noticed, we didn't announce anything this week because this week's is the social media conference hosted by uh, Ineffable and Adept. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jean-Luc. And we're actually gonna have as you see, usually we have a guest popping up with an intro, special intro, but tonight we have one of the speakers and actually a previous speaker who's this year just an attendee at the conference to talk about the conference a bit, their experiences, and actually how it has been since 2020 and since 2019 actually from a physical conference, because this is the second year in a row that we're doing it fully virtual. So, Jean-Luc, kick us off with the social media conference. What is it about, and what are we talking about tonight?
So first off, Rajiv and Rafael, thanks for joining us on Social Convos. And yes, Rajiv, this is a totally different setting. You have been a guest already on our show as well. But as you can see, Diego, it looks different. Everything that well, of course, it's not mine. It's actually Ineffable. The backdrop that I use, the lighting that I use, it's all being used for the conference right now. Even my headset, which is actually mine, I borrowed all during the last session. So I'm here like feeling like stripped, completely naked. But it's all worth it. I think it's all worth it. It's today we finished off the second day, and we had Rafael as a speaker this morning, which was really awesome. He got a lot of people to watch him. Rafael, I promised I wouldn't tell you how many people viewed your session, but I can tell that it was really successful. And of course, Rajiv, who has been a speaker, his company has spoken on multiple social media conferences, social media Suriname conferences, and I'm really looking forward to just talk a little bit, keep it light, keep it very social, and yeah, to enjoy the show. And I already see that there are some comments coming in. So we have some comments coming in from Twitch, and Miguel Manes is also in the building. So shout out to him as well.
Awesome. I guess let's get straight into it. Actually, so today was the second day. I actually had to catch up yesterday because I was in the interior with no reception. So last night when I got back, I watched a few of the day one sessions, not all of them, didn't have the time. But I did catch the majority of today's session and especially Rafael's session. And I posted on I think we call it the event feed, who, which speaker they wanted to see the most on social convos, and Rafael was actually the most requested one. So I'm glad that we got Rafael. Yeah. So I did a tally. Rafael was the most requested one. So let's start with you, Rafael. From a speaker's perspective, how was it to? I'm not sure if this is your first, virtual or just keynote at all. How was it for you as a speaker at this conference? What was your initial impression?
Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie. I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what to expect. It was different. I'm normally not so much of a public speaker, so it was really hard to get used to speaking to a computer, to get used to speaking to a screen and people. But the experience was okay. I mean, how you guys are there on the screen, I'm looking at you guys, it just feels like a conversation. So it felt, after the first couple minutes, it felt more like a conversation until all the questions start coming in. And then you're like, oh, wait, you know what? I'm actually live. There's a bunch of people watching this. And then afterwards, you get inundated with a bunch of messages and feedback and then questions. And you're having conversations with people about, this and that. And in fact, 45 minutes, it went by a lot faster than I thought it did. I thought it would take forever. It actually went by pretty quick. And I'm glad we stopped just like under the 37-minute mark. And literally the entire rest of the time used was for questions. So I think it couldn't have been better. There was a few things I would have done differently. I think I would have had a little bit more. I bet if I did it a second time, like tomorrow, it'd be better. It'd be even better than today, because I'd have more composure. I know what to say. I know what to do. The jitters are gone. So I'm sorry to everybody who watched it the first time. You know, if it was a little bit rushed or whatever, but I did have fun. It was the first time I did anything like that. And it touched my toes in the water, and I'd love to do it again, honestly.
Awesome, because you're gonna get invited back again, for sure. So that was. I'm gonna let the others jump in as well. I do want to know for Rajiv, from a attendee perspective, how is it different for you? Like, you've experienced both sides. So what do you feel like is the biggest difference between being an attendee and a speaker?
I think there's no rush. I can relax, enjoy the conference, and actually, um, yeah. Besides the rush, if this would be in a physical setting, I would have more time to network, like network a lot. But even the virtual side, I had a chance to network. So yeah, I think the rush for me, it's less, so I have time to enjoy all the content, and yeah, and make some notes, a lot of notes actually, some good speakers. I hope I can share some notes I made later with you guys and the audience.
Speaking of doing it, having your notes from a attendee's perspective, and I saw Rafael got bombarded with questions. Some questions didn't even get answered. I actually had to DM him privately because somebody skimmed over my questions, but he elaborated so nicely with, I think, 3 paragraphs of text just to explain everything. And I want to go into that question a bit, but back to you, Rajiv. On your notes, were there any questions or nuggets that you got that immediately pop up that you can say, wow, I didn't think about it, or you see this differently, maybe from Raphael's sessions also?
Okay, so I actually, some of the sessions I didn't watch from beginning to end, but what I did with the Raphael session, I watched it today again later, because the opening was one of the famous openings. So I had to rewatch that, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And one of the notes is contact Raphael for the next project. So that's definitely one thing. And one other session from today that stood out for me is the one with the ladies, influencers. I think the makeup lady and please, I don't know their names, but the key theme there, and their key message was, whatever you do in the video making that you do, try to add positive messages beyond the positive side, because we already have enough of those, the negative side, etc. So that felt good, that they are they feel that responsibility from their side. That was just one keynote from one note from today, but I'll give you guys a chance to jump on that.
Yeah, there's a lot to jump on actually. There's also a lot of comments, so we're just quickly gonna scroll through it. Gregory did the audio check and the video check, which is good, and Motab is also saying everything is good here. And Gregory also wants to say there's a familiar sound in your voice, Rafael.
I
So
don't think so. Don't think so.
also a shout out from Moreno, and one of the actual attendees is saying, no one kind of noticed any jitter, so that's good. Also, another person that was following your session says it was really good. And a shout out from Shigeo, much appreciated, Shigeo. Thank you for the support. And Shigeo is supporting us every year. He's also a past speaker as well, and we're also telling him that he's the first person we're gonna call when the conference is back to a physical conference. And a funny side note, even the food got better. Well, you have to thank Nessa and Claire for that one, Shigeo, because they are picking out hand picking some places where we're getting the food. So that's also a shout out on them. And yes, Miguel, Rafa has always had an ad voice. We completely agreed. And there's some people who, like Rafael said, Sifra said, I also contacted him afterwards. So I do want to know, Rafael, how much of the contacting happens within the online platform that we built for the conference, and how much is just straight DMs on social media or WhatsApp messages?
Okay, so right after the platform, actually during during the, it kind of distracted me a little bit, but during the presentation, I kept getting a pop-up and it kept making a noise. And I kept looking, I'm like, oh man, people are sending me messages on the platform. And so you'll notice a couple of times where I'm like looking, I'm like kind of confused because I don't know what that was. So we had around 6 or 7 messages on the platform itself. I haven't checked, there might be more now. And then I had some DMs on Instagram as well as on Facebook as well. And that's correct. I see Miss Hakmat, she messaged me. We discussed a little bit of stuff about her. And it's just really interesting to see that people were moved by it, and they actually had questions regarding how they could apply it to apply what I said to their. Someone actually messaged me on WhatsApp too, and they made a video. They actually made a video and they sent it to me, and they said, "Hey, Raf, check this out. I made this. I was inspired by you." And I thought that was pretty cool too. So I was happy that people got inspired to create something, even though I didn't really feel that I actually inspired anybody to go create. I think that was just some self inspiration there from everyone else. But I hope I left people with a reminder from how to start that process. So that's kind of it.
So I do quickly want to go into the question I asked you on, because I think the answer you gave me was really elaborate, and I think it would have added a bit to the storytelling, especially the storytelling that you were talking about, having a story arc, having a clear message, cutting out what you need. And for Jean-Luc and Rajiv, my question was particularly about, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the structure of the hero's journey. And I asked Raphael what his take was on the hero's journey and when people should or should not use it. So, Raphael, what is the hero's journey in storytelling?
Okay, so every story, not every story, but doesn't necessarily have to have a physical hero. You don't need to have that knight in shining armor every single time. It could be a product. The product could be the hero, but there is a subject in the storytelling. And what I was telling Diego is, he asked me if what's the hero's journey? Does there have to be one? When do you cut him out? And there are certain times where you actually highlight the person as a hero, and you show his trials and tribulations and the things he goes through, and you build up to that climax point, and you show what he's capable of, and then you kind of wind down from there and show what the next challenge is, or that nothing can stop him in his way. A lot of stories happen that way. In this situation, the video that I had presented earlier, I did actually show a person. He was our figure. He wasn't necessarily the hero because we didn't really show that he had any hardships or anything. But I did show that he kind of guided us through this journey of looking at these beautiful and reminding us, like, hey, you know what? We live in a really pristine world, and that person is part of it. So he's kind of, you could say, the hero, but we didn't really go through a hero's journey there. A lot of times we don't necessarily have to have the hero's journey with a person, but we can also have the story being the hero, or the actual concept be the hero. I think I used a documentary example. We did a documentary and we had multiple people. So it's impossible to use multiple people as the hero. right? So what we did is we used the actual organization as the hero, and the people were guided by this organization to make the end result a very heroic one. And that's kind of how we use the hero's journey. So there's different approaches, different ways of making it. You don't always have to have it. I do think, though, a strong arc, a heroic arc, is extremely strong. Obviously, almost every single movie out there has some hero in it, and we know that. And if we apply that to our stories today, then obviously it's going to have some kind of connection with the viewer, and it has possibility of going, you could say, viral on social media for that time. But I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit. We discussed it a little bit, but it could be a little bit more specific if you had more specific in something in
Yeah, the example you used was we're both familiar with Yes Theory, Jean-Luc also, and you mentioned they use it a lot. And when you mentioned it, I actually thought back on how they structured their videos on YouTube on the challenges they did. It was actually it all fit that format, and I didn't realize it until you mentioned it. So that was something enlightening for me, definitely. And I guess going back to you, Rajiv, from a attendee's perspective, um, so we had a lot of video related content today with the ladies, with Rafael, but also some on the e-commerce side. I'm not sure if you followed those sessions as well, because you are in the app development,
He has to,
the
Diego.
business
He
field.
has to. He has to.
Exactly. So, from that perspective, as an attendee this time, what was different this year in e-commerce, or something you were looking forward to that would should that they have overlooked, or something that surprised you that you didn't think about yet?
Okay, so that session was simultaneous with Rafael's session, so I that's why. But I did catch most of that e-commerce session, and yeah, what I think one thing is clear, that the e-commerce, that all those entrepreneurs, I could resonate with the challenge of e-commerce in Suriname is, it's still upcoming. We're not there yet, a long way from there, but and it's a long grind. That was definitely confirmed. And at the same time, I like the fact that Franto brought up the idea of setting up an association, because yeah, you definitely want to have that ecosystem of e-commerce in Suriname advance to another level, not just one step, at least 10 steps. But I think all the speakers were on point. They're trying to solve the logistics dilemma. They're trying to solve the whole e-commerce adoption. They're trying to solve a lot of those things at once, and so, and compared to last year, I mean, comparing it to 2 years when we did a physical session, I remember with HSDS, Ham, and the everyone was so requesting for payments, online payments, making it possible. And hey, not long after, the online payments came. So I think each year there is a request. The social media conference has that influence, I think. And then you see those small upgrades, but kind of essential. So I know it's a long and slow process, but it's the step-by-step process, and I think we're gonna get there. I won't expect any great changes anytime soon, but we will get there. I have that faith.
We're indeed slowly getting there. I mean, I want to follow up that one, and vote for you because you're both on the platform. We're talking about Hublo, which is the platform that we use for the conference. And what I'm really noticing, and I like it as well because there are people commenting here a lot of people that are commenting here are actually participants at the conference. And I feel like, for some reason, I feel the digital conference, the people that are in the conference participating actively are a lot younger than the average person that's participating in a physical conference. So that's something that I'm clearly noticing, that like somehow it's almost like there's a threshold for like the 45 plus generation to log into a system, into a computer, talk into that computer, and then also log in to follow sessions and actively be involved. So I do wanna ask you guys, how much do you feel like this? Of course, it helps, but the physical element is different from the digital. So how are you feeling about the platform? How much of a feeling do you have that you're actually at a conference when you log into Hubble?
Well, okay, I'll kick off that one. I feel, oh, it's a tough one. Last year I was so excited to be on Hubble, quite advanced, etc. And yeah, I loved it, and the physical element of the food being delivered to you, I love that as well. And then at the end, going to the drive-to, magnificent. But this is second year, and what I think you did quite well is the programming is diverse. You're not gonna get bored of just one team. It's so diverse. You can definitely relearn something. But I agree, there is a gap. If you're yeah, there's a gap if you're probably a bit older, or you're not that familiar with the technology, or you're just like the tech fatigue is too much because you're in meet downs, Zoom, Teams, etc. Why do I have to go in a Hubble? I have to set up my profile, another profile. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I get it. I get it. So yeah, I can't wait for the physical one. I have to agree on that. But whew, it's tricky. It's tricky.
That's fair enough. Yeah, because last year everything's shiny and new, so you got that euphoric high, like, oh, something new, exciting. But having it consecutively can have its downfall because it's not fresh anymore. But how about you, Rafael? How has this format been for you in particular? I'm not sure. Have you attended the previous conferences? I'm not sure if I saw you or anything similar to this at all before speaking today.
I've actually never attended the conference. I've seen it. I've always seen it, and the physical conference looked really exciting. Just being there and listening to everybody and seeing everybody, and just a whole bunch of, social media influencers all together in one room was just an exciting thing. Back then, when it was in person, I wasn't a very avid social media person at all, period. I wouldn't consider myself one anyway. Last year, I did see that there was an online conference. I think there was some reason why I wasn't able to attend. And this year I would have attended regardless. I think it's just something, someone who's online, and you do influence a lot of people. A lot of people are asking you, hey, are you going to join? Are you going to do this? Of course, I would have joined, but I was asked to be a speaker, and I thought that was great. So I think the program Hubble was smooth. There was nothing wrong. I signed on. In fact, the first night I signed on, I started racking up points. I was like number one. I was like, yes. And then I sent it to Ruth. And Ruth was like, by the way, Raf, we're resetting it tomorrow. I'm like, oh, man. And now if I was just going to check it, and I don't know who's number one, but I think it's the last person here who commented on this thing here. I think she's number one, and I'm kind of jealous, honestly. Yeah, I still need time to get on there to win.
Yeah, she agrees with you.
You're
That
not
it's
gonna
very
win,
smooth.
man. You're not gonna win. I mean,
Nope.
the top 10. Like, if you look at the amount of points the top 10 have, like
Yeah.
last year, this is already multiplied what it was last year. So it's so much fun. So quickly going through the comments, Shigeo just said, following on the program has its pros. You can follow in silence and multitask. That's definitely true. That's definitely true, indeed. Um, so Sifra says, I'm surprised with uh, it was good. Habulo is also running smooth. I like how you can't miss anything because you can rewatch over and over again, take notes. That's awesome. He's giving a shout out. So Rishina, we're gonna show your drawing of day one here in a bit, and Stephanie is liking this. Mr. Basic is saying we're busy as always. Yes, Yetro, we are. And as a media person, Mohani really said she liked it, and Sifra also agreed with that as well. And a shout out, yes, theory shout out by Rishinal as well. So you can't replace the physical one. We completely agree. And Stephanie says, yes, Rafael, you were first place when I joined. So what happened? The reason why we have to reset this is we didn't want an unfair advantage because last year we noticed that people tried to get a head start before the conference even began, because usually you get your logins before the conference starts, and like some people get their logins on Saturday, some people get their logins on Sunday, and then people just start piling up points and trying to win the competition before it's over. And I don't know if people know the prizes, and I'm not sure I'm gonna tell people the prizes that you can win if you end up first or second or third place, because it's going to turn into a frenzy. It's always kind of already turning into a frenzy, and I do want people to know that it hasn't happened in Suriname, but um, I get to volunteer sometimes at conferences internationally, and one of my favorite conferences where I get to help is the social media marketing world. And we actually had to delist and remove people from this contest because they were just spamming the hell out of people. And we do want to keep it clean, like keep it enticing and have it fun. But it can get out of hand sometimes, these kind of contests.
All right. So yeah, some people didn't even notice the point. And to this point, I actually want to bring this, especially specifically on the platform Hubble. And this is to all three of you, I guess. And I think you can start off with this one from an organization's point of view, Jean-Luc. This gamification element of adding these systems into these conferences. How do you see it? I'm asking this specifically because you and I both are, and I think Rajiv also are into this NFT project where they are going to gamify a lot. So how do you see gamification and community actually working together in this, especially digital world?
So I think gamification can be good. I think it's good in organizations for onboarding certain things because you want to have incentives. Like I said, it can go a little over the top. I mean, one of the first really gamifications I loved was Foursquare. I was a big fan of Foursquare. Foursquare was kind of an in-city game that basically, if you checked in at certain places within the city, within Paramaribo, you could get points and you could beat out friends. And if you had the most points for a certain place, you became the mayor of a certain place. And we went ham with it. And basically, Foursquare was destroyed, completely destroyed by Facebook check-in. As soon as Facebook check-in came, everybody just stopped using Foursquare, and I was so disappointed because from a gamification perspective, it was awesome. And then when we saw that Hubble had this gamification, we really wanted to get the most of it. So what a lot of people don't know, there are actually people that are attending the conferences, this conference. A lot of people don't know that every day our sponsors like Hakren Bank and Fernandez, they have games going, and that is where they have games going, and there actually are contests on the platform where people can win prizes. And that's what I mean. Like, if you're not really techy, you have to figure everything out. But there are a lot of people who like. It's funny. Like, some people will go away from this conference, and aside from all the knowledge they get more prizes and goodies than the actual amount of money they paid for a seat to join into the conference. So it brings kind of a really fun element as well, that some people are just like, what's the ROI aside from all the knowledge I'm getting? I'm getting this and I'm getting that and I want this at the conference and I also want that. So I think that makes it a lot of fun for me personally.
How about you, Rajiv? And then if Rafael has any thoughts, he can finish that off.
Well, my thought was like, oh, what? There are contests every day? What? That was my first impression. But no, I think it's needed. You should also have definitely a reporting option if it gets too out of hand. But other than that, I think gamification is here to stay. It's good for engagement, keeps it fun, and that's cool. If you're doing this in a Zoom, you don't have those kind of options. So to make it fun, hey, I agree. Gamification, definitely good. Mm, I do, yeah. I think we can learn a lot from this, and then try to find out how we can approach it in the different settings. I wonder how we will do it in a physical setting, how that would work. And on a side note, hey, maybe a hybrid setting can also work. But so yeah, I think it should be here to stay.
All I know is that when you guys go to sleep, I'm going to be going ham on the program, on the platform, and I'm going to get a ton of points. I see that there's someone has 17,000. I'm going to go above that bar. So whoever has that, I'm going to come after you. That's my thoughts. I like it. It's fun.
Awesome. So I think you won't be the only one, Richanel. I think you've been drawing in the morning, so that's why you didn't see the points. So I think you're going to be drawing tomorrow again. That's what we talked about a bit in the networking session. So he draws in the morning, so we should see today's session in one of Richanel's drawings tomorrow. Zest from Twitch says, John Luke, you can print the panda drawing of both children with the tag NFT. So make an NFT of your NFT replica. And Shigeo says, how about the knowledge quiz on the platform as a gamification element? And lastly, Pish Mohan says, yeah, that's why I got a message from all kinds of people. It's more for educational growth network purposes. And she did get the chance to network with old pals, I assume. But coming back to you, Rafael, on the topic of not having attended the conference yet, and this being your first conference, has there been any other sessions that you have looked into aside from preparing and removing the jitters for your own session? Has there any been session in particular that you got something out of and you thought, whoa, this social media thing? You said you're not very social media savvy yet in the beginning, it's only the recent years. How has that, was there a wow moment for you so far in this session?
Well, okay, I'm just going to be straight up honest. I haven't watched any sessions yet, but I realized about an hour ago that you can rewatch the sessions because someone tagged me and be like, oh, hey, I could rewatch the sessions. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want that. So now everyone gets to rewatch my jitters. But I'm definitely going to rewatch sessions. I did click on a session. I think it was the very first one. I wanted to see what it looked like. I was very curious to see if what I had to do. I was kind of nervous. I didn't know what to expect, what to do. So I clicked it, I watched it. And from it, I did hear some really interesting information. I think it was Eblin Ferengi. He was talking about, he was discussing something in Dutch. I wasn't exactly sure, but he said some comments that I took to heart. And I was like, hey, that's absolutely true. And it helped me answer a question today that I got. So that was definitely something. I'm definitely going to go rewatch. There are a few that I want to rewatch, like the three ladies today. There was a session right at the same time as mine. I do want to go check that out. I do want to see what my other video colleagues have to say about that. So I'm going to go and rewatch it definitely, probably tomorrow.
Speaking of tomorrow, Rajiv, anything you're looking forward to tomorrow? I know me and Shanuk have one that we're looking forward to, but he scheduled me on that same day, or on that
Yeah,
same time slot. But we'll let that go. We'll figure it out. We can rewatch it as Rafael says. But yeah, Rajiv, tomorrow.
no, I'm definitely I'm browsing through the calendar, and the art, the future of art is something I would love to. I will check that one out definitely. I hope I think they'll talk about NFTs. So yeah, definitely want to be there. And also the corporate offline to online. There's some seasoned speakers there, so I think we'll listen to them. One of the interesting parts, and a side note, one of the interesting parts about this platform as well is it has a good networking element, right? So you join in, and it gives you some suggestions about people you send a message to. And I did send a message and did get acquainted with some of them. So that's also a nice feature of this platform as well. But coming back to the program tomorrow, yeah, I think the first one, the first two ones, looking forward to that, and the art, the future of art. And of course, podcasting. I'll also tune in, Diego. Don't worry.
We're gonna find a way to watch attend these sessions both. I don't know how. That's gonna be a very tricky part. I believe that's very tricky as well. So quickly getting into the contest board. I also saw a comment by Shigeo. How about a knowledge quiz on the platform as a gamification element? So in case you don't know, if you go to the actually have to broaden the screen again and maybe switch. I like this new option by StreamYard as well, where you can put us down here. So what's interesting, if you go to the contests, there actually are a lot of contests up. I'm not sure people know this, but there's like a selfie contest going on. There's a Heineken quiz going on. There's a Surya quiz going on. There's a Digicel best caption quiz going on. A Datasur quiz going on. A Fernandez Bakery quiz going on. You can even look how much chance you have of winning based on how many entries there already are. So that's also something really interesting. And funny thing is, like, there are over 200, is close to 250, I think, people that can log in. 26 people are still online, even though all sessions have finished. 27 people now are still online. So these 27 people are still trying to get points as well. So I think that's really interesting. So Rafael, you're not gonna be the only one. And so he's actually saying
I
like two screens. That's what I did both days.
well. You know what? I actually just now realized that there's contests, so I'm gonna go ham on those in a second here. I saw a selfie contest, so I'm gonna have fun with that. And yeah, I'm actually gonna try to get points. I just now logged on and I saw that I am really behind. I gotta catch up, so I got a lot of work to do. A lot of coffee. I'm gonna probably have another cup of coffee to fix this. Yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna give up. I'm around 25th with over 1,000 points, but it's like it's gonna be a lot. It really is a lot. So let me quickly also, okay, we're quickly gonna remove it from here as well. I'm quickly gonna get the pandas because there's a panda question. So I'm gonna quickly get the panda drawings before I answer that question. So Diego, go ahead, just keep them occupied for a bit, and I'll try to see if I can get my children's panda drawings found in my house.
All right, sure. So going through the comments real quick. So Motive says, interesting to see how a lot of people got interested in NFTs and social media on the blockchain. Yeah, that was quite surprising to me that, especially compared to last year, the difference in interest has been quite significant. You're getting a lot of compliments with your friend Tony, who is in Dubai as well. People love you guys' work. So, on that note, why aren't you in Dubai, Rafael?
That's the exact question I had in my mind.
Okay, so it's a long story by why I'm not there. I'm supposed to be there, or I was anyways hoping to be there. My brother's there, but I decided that there was more important work here to do, so I decided to stay. And I thought, Tony can handle it. He's got it. He's got it. We're talking every single night, and he's like, Raf, man, I really wish you were here. We need your help and this and that. So, but I think he's got it pretty handled over there. They're working on an upcoming series of shows to come out and talk about the pavilion and what Suriname's doing in Dubai, and it's just really exciting and interesting. I got to see a lot of photos and behind the scenes stuff, and I think it looks really good there. I am jealous. I really am. It's so nice there. And there's just so much information. I love culture. I love learning stuff, and that is definitely the place to go. I hopefully that I'll have the opportunity to go and check things out and see Tony again, of course, if he decides to come back, because I don't know. He's getting a lot of likes from those Dubai people, so he might end up staying there. I mean, hey, yeah. We'll see.
Very interesting. Did you have something to add, Rajiv? I interrupted you.
No. I just enjoyed that answer. Go ahead, Diego.
All right, Sean looks back and I see he's ready to project an image. So let it rip, Sean. Look.
So I tried to find the drawings, but they removed them from where I sat. When people saw my presentation, it looked like my children drew the pandas on one piece of paper, but it was actually edited in. But this is the drawing by Richanel. So a shout out to Richanel for capturing. He always captures the days of the conference for us in his drawings, and these drawings are just awesome. So this is a drawing basically from, I think, the morning sessions of day one, and with also a wink, I think, to the final session, the closing keynote of day one, which was about the media in social media. So he put up the panda story, because I used Diego. I think you really would have enjoyed it live as well, because I went into the patient panda story from Gary Vaynerchuk, and kind of saying like how it starts off with your children, and they're just drawing pandas, and Gary Vaynerchuk draws a panda with a story behind it. Also, maybe not from a hero perspective per se, but that patient panda just got sold. The NFT got sold for, I think, $160,000 or $180,000 recently, like 3 weeks ago. And I really talked about the utility of the NFTs, that the fee friends that Gary Vaynerchuk made, which I think it will be really interesting to see where that space is going, because once you have utility to stuff, it becomes really interesting. For me, I'm still baffled, like, how does a rock get sold for 8 million? A picture of a rock? That's something that I don't understand, but I do understand an NFT which has actual utility. That, for instance, you can get like a celebrity to get on your podcast because you put trust in their project when nobody was putting trust in that project yet. So I don't. Those opportunities are really, really. It's kind of meta and new age, but those things are really interesting. That you can support someone, and by giving that support, I think the most interesting thing, to close off this rant that I'm going on, the most interesting part is that basically Gary Vaynerchuk puts stuff in his NFTs that he's already doing. He's already having breakfast meetings. He's already having lunch meetings. He's already having dinner with people. And he's just put those in the NFTs as perks, which means basically people that now approach him for a dinner or a breakfast, they've already paid for the service. So you don't have the hassle of trying to figure out what the right pricing is to provide a service, because that person has already paid for that service. That person has already said, this is
And
important for me.
he can resell that service if he's not going to use it.
It's brilliant. It's basically your customers already paid for your services beforehand.
Yeah, I watched the session, the playback session, and well, when you opened up with the Dragon Fan, because you Twitter messaged me that night, and I said, okay, what is this? And then when I watched the session, okay, now it makes sense why you DM'd me on Twitter to put that online. So we can probably rant on NFTs till the end of the session, but before we do that, there's some comments and questions here. So quickly before we go on, Shigeo asks, Raf, how about broadcasting your video of today in Dubai? So is there any content from you, even though you are here in Dubai, to represent or showcase Suriname?
Well, I don't necessarily have any video content there at the moment. That's the job of the media team there. I do have a on the top of the pavilion. There's a photo of mine there, and also like one strip on the front. So that's pretty much all the content I have there for myself. But we'll see. I am working with the team here in Suriname to help push content to Dubai. So. If they need any assistance, I'm up for it. So
Awesome. Yeah, we look forward to more content because I think you are one of the few. There's several others who have, that amazing footage from the interior. And I think that's something that's very highlighted on the expo. I didn't really look into it much yet, but it is a long conference, I think 6 months. So there's a lot that can happen between now and then. And quick question to you, Jean-Luc, from the comments. Sifra asked what is supposed to happen tomorrow at the end of the conference. She's a bit confused.
So actually, there's a drive-through event. Maybe I can. I'm gonna try to put a picture up because it's kind of similar to last year, with one major difference, and that's we're on the other side of of the Torarica parking lot. So basically, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a drive-through event. And what makes the drive-through event fun? It's kind of the only physical element that we currently have in the conference. So it's kind of a way of still having the interaction, and especially for participants. So if you're a community pass or an access pass holder, you get a certificate and you get a goodie bag, and you can pick up the goodie bag and the certificate there. Raf, for the speakers, there's an even better goodie bag waiting for you as well. So because some sponsors say like we want to give the speaker something extra, so they get a little bit extra. And I also heard this year, at least somebody told me that if you're an alumni, so if you have participated in multiple social media conferences, there's also like an extra goodie in the goodie bag, which I didn't know about. But there might be a surprise for people who have participated in multiple ones. So let me quickly see if I can somehow put up the visual that I saw for what it's gonna look like. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be posted in in Hubble as well. But I'm quickly gonna download the map for tomorrow.
So as you do that, Gregory says, Jean-Luc, your rants are a work of art. And Motev agrees. So, some people really enjoy your rants. So don't dismiss them outright. And as you bring up that image for the map tomorrow, I think this is a good section to close it off, and I want to start with Rafael. So Fish Mohani says a lot of Surinamese people do not know what the opportunities are because of not being fully open to the information. So there should be more discussion about these subjects, NFTs, and if you got it up yet, yeah, do you have it up?
Yeah,
Okay,
guys.
Let's do that
Let's
first, and
quickly
then
let's quickly bring it in. So basically, tomorrow, if you're a little bit familiar with Royal Terrarica, if you drive in, usually you go to the left. The drive-in for last year was to the left at the Royal Ballroom, but there are several reasons why we chose for the other side this time around. And one of the reasons, which is a really good one, is last year at the peak it got a little bit busy, and we kind of had some issues with the street that the line for the drive-through event was kind of bothering the street a little bit. Uh, so this year, luckily, we have the other side. So basically, you drive towards Royal Terrarica, you drive into Royal Terrarica, and right before Royal Terrarica, you take a small right, and then you go into the what's it? I'm not sure. It's the south side parking of the Royal Torarica parking area. And there will be some booths. So basically, the first booth will be an information or a sponsor booth. You might get a tasting of some new products of one of the sponsors. And Fernandez Bacare is one of our sponsors as well. So you might get something there at their booth. And then you drive through and you get your goodie bag and you drive through a little bit more. There probably will be an MC. I think Sydney will be there and he will be interviewing people. And after that, you get your certificate and your T-shirt. So there's a lot to do. I think the goodie bag is quite nice. I got to see some of it today. It's actually better than I think a couple of years ago. I remember that in San Diego we even went back to like an empty goodie bag because people collect things. So instead of, I think we did that as well. Instead of companies giving like all the freebies into the goodie bag, people would visit the booths of the sponsors that they wanted to go to, and there they would collect their merch and the things that they wanted. And I think the last physical year at the social media conference Suriname, we did this the same thing, which is give them an empty goodie bag, and then when they go past the different sponsors, they would get the goodies. But of course, since it's now a digital conference, everything is put in the goodie bag for you, and you can actually, because there is people like, so do I have to go by car? I know people that went through the drive-through last year by bike or motorcycle even. So that's not a problem at all. You can also even walk through the drive-through. That's not even an issue. If you want to come by public transport and just walk through the drive-through, that's not an issue either. So it's the idea for the drive-through is more that there's kind of this moment, this physical moment that you at least get to see the organization, the people behind it, and have a little bit fun as well. So I hope that kind of answers the question about the drive-through event.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well. So I think I'm gonna come there, do my session, and just stay the whole day till the end.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah. All right. So I think we can close this up with one last question. And Fishmone already asked with opportunities. So that in this conference, there has been a lot of emphasis on the new social media, Web 3.0, NFTs, blockchain. So for you, Rafael, being, I guess, fairly new to the conference, but also exploring social media more, how in tune or were you before the conference about these developments of, Web 3.0, social media moving on the blockchain and the opportunities that things like NFTs have?
You put me on the spot here, Diego, because, honestly, I mean, I'm going to be straight up honest. I have no idea. I've heard of NFTs and all this stuff, but I really need someone to hold my hand and tell me what these things mean, to be honest. I actually have no idea. So I can't really answer that question as fulfilling as you want. But Diego, maybe one day you can tell me, everyone's pointing at you, can tell me like what they are, how do you even create one, like how do you even get to that point? So I have no knowledge whatsoever.
Can I quickly point something out?
Yes.
Do you know about the imposer, or were you the person that told me about the imposer story? That there was somebody on the blockchain that was using your photos and posing as a photographer.
Yes, that's correct. That was happening. Yeah, I actually, that's true. That was happening. Yeah, I forgot about that story. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was Diego. There was on Hive. Was this photographer who was using Raf's photos and earning money with Raf's photos by creating supposedly his content, but it were Raf's photos. That really happened.
Yeah. Hi, boy.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, you're at the perfect place at the conference. It's a good place to start to learn more about it. And this just goes to show, and I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I'm glad you just answered it honestly because I think there's a lot of people that are in a similar position because they just haven't been exposed to it. And this conference is a good opportunity to bring that to a wider audience. And it's important because this gives especially creators the chance to take control of earning something or just creating and having it registered somewhere publicly online to show that who has that ownership, who has that true ownership, so that things like what happened to you imposters doesn't happen, or if it does happen, there's a community that can double check that and say, hey, this is an imposter, or to validate that it's fake or not, or who the true owner is. um, but having that said, that Rajiv, how about you? Where were you when you entered the conference? Where were you, at what stage were you when you entered the conference regarding web 3.0, the developments of social media, etc., and NFTs?
Well, I actually didn't join the conference to learn more about Web 3.0. Oh, I didn't expect anything actually. I was positively surprised that Shanluk brought it up. His keynote every year is very relevant and sets the tone for the next year. I'm just gonna try to put it out there, and it's one of those keynotes every entrepreneur should watch out for. So, um, and him explaining three interesting parts. One, the Web 3.0, the NFT, and basically as a young person having less of an excuse or argument of not getting or becoming rich because all of those tools are out there. You just need to have an internet connection. That's just one. Second thing is he also brought the part about the social dilemma, and that was one of the things that was keeping me busy today before I entered this, because I'm happy that we didn't talk too much about it, but the danger of AI being able to just copy your voice, copy your face, and just create a fake of you, it's out there, it's even closer. And but at the same time, I'm happy that the message was try to do positive, try. That's one thing I want to end with. Try to do positive. And the third one, which is still relevant, is we're talking about e-commerce every year, or social media and e-commerce everywhere every year, and we're making those steps. And it's surprisingly, one of the key remark from the Digicel marketing manager was, her tip was, if you're going digital, you can't just take an existing employee and, hey, go and manage these channels. You have to, there's an important HR aspect to it. So and then it transitions to Anvit's point of digital leadership. It's a whole new point of view, a whole new kind of leadership that is needed for this age, and that's digital leadership, especially if we want to be successful and end with a positive Web 3.0 experience or any type of experience.
So Diego, I think we're gonna have to hire Rajiv next year to, like, at the end of the day, do a summary of all the sessions, because you were really on point there. That was really impressive. Thanks for sharing that. Also, for people that haven't seen the sessions, it's already kind of like informative, giving like a clear view of what these sessions were about.
Cool. And I guess that's all the time we have for tonight. I think we covered a lot, and Rajiv ended it beautifully with that summary and just how everything flows into one another. So, what are we flowing into tomorrow to quickly recap, Shanluk, and then we can close it off?
So first of all, I'm really excited, and the thing that made me most excited is, like you guys said, I found a way to get crypto into this conference without making it about scams and money and investing and looking from the financial side of crypto, because that's the first thing that people get. It's like, it's this investing space and money, and no, it's also about creation and also opportunity. So I'm really excited that also we found speakers this year that were willing to kind of, I mean, Jennifer and Shane, if you haven't seen the session, and you can log into Hublo, if you haven't seen the session on social media and the blockchain, please check it out, because the way they explain what it actually is, it really is, they couldn't explain it any better. So that's for me. Sorry, it was one of the biggest wins. And then when it comes to tomorrow, so like if today was a heavy lineup, today, yes, tomorrow feels even heavier, because there's like, okay, so there's Top of Mind by Madhu, then there's the Offline Online, which is a team of really brilliant women who are marketing managers at some of the bigger companies in Suriname. And then at the same time, Jay Austin has a workshop, and that workshop is probably going to be limited. So that's going to be interesting as well, like how many people are allowed to join that. But I think the main session, which is the session from Jean Malam, Martina, and Farsha, that's going to be a hell of a session. And then I'm excited for Doreen's session, because Doreen is like a mentor to me as well, and she's gonna talk about how you can agile, how you can implement agile on your your content planning. So that's something that I'm really excited about, and that's at the same time a social media and lifestyle with Sana, Gwen, and Minerva, which is also a pretty damn awesome session. So the amount of female empowerment sessions, like all female panels, is big this year at the conference. And then after lunch, yeah. So Diego, I'm gonna have to watch the recording, because I'm gonna have to interview. Uh, I'm gonna have to interview Monique Mushaya and Nia Simone, who will be talking about the future of art. But your session, I mean, that's gonna be a fun session. It's with Dave Van Aarde, Dion Brunings, and Kevin Headley, which are three extraordinary people, just like Diego, who have really put in the work to create something new. So that's just going to be an awesome session as well. And then closing off with Raul Nehorst, who is like somebody who's, when I started researching social media in Suriname, he was one of the photographers already on it. Him and Plume, Patrick Rolles, there was like a bunch of photographers who really got into space. Then Helio just jumped out of nothing and took like control. And now finally, because I mean, if you've seen Raf's work, I don't know if you've seen Raf's work, Tony's work, I mean, if you see their work, it's like, where were these guys? Where were these guys 10 years ago? Because that level of commitment and the level of editing is just amazing. So I'm really interested, because Raul is gonna tell his story and just tell the story, because most people just take the photography story. But one of the things that I asked Raul is, please also go into the crowdfunding story, because he's like one of the few people that I know who successfully did two crowdfunding campaigns to completely get the costs, or at least get a large part of the cost for his books covered. So I think that's really an interesting session as well. And then of course we get to have a little bit fun. It's still COVID time, so it's still a drive-through event instead of a drive-in event. But yeah, for me, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. I'm excited for tomorrow already. And last question here from Ishan. Will this fit be available for replay? Yes, this video will be available for replay. It's basically available for replay on all the channels we're broadcasting on now. So all our Facebook profiles, it's on Jean-Luc's LinkedIn, it's on my YouTube, on Twitch, and I think Twitter as well. And also there's going to be an audio version released in the weekend, but that is after the conference. But if you want to watch this again directly, you can go to any of those before mentioned channels to watch it. So yeah, I see you're watching it from Facebook, so when we end the session you can just rewatch it wherever you are right now. With that being said, this was a special edition of Social Convo Social Media Conference Suriname 2021 edition, hashtag SMCS21. So don't forget to use that hashtag when you share. And we will be back next week again with the regular social confoes. We don't know who yet, but we've already extended a semi-formal invitation to Rafael to go into his story. Today was a bit more on this conference, but we'll finalize scheduling later this week. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for commenting. And as always, see you next week. Jean-Luc, close it up.
Yes. Rafael, Rajiv, thank you so much for taking part in this experimental social media conference Suriname episode. All of you for commenting. There were a lot of comments today. It was really interactive. And of course, lobby to everybody watching. And yes, for those who are participating in the conference, we're going to see you tomorrow or tonight because Raf is going to send you messages on the network to get extra points as well. So thank you guys for joining in. We had a lot of fun. This was Social Confoes. See you next Tuesday, same place, same time. Bye-bye.